Political science professor Paul Quirk, our guest, and we've talked before about U.S. politics, and I'm telling you, Rush Limbaugh was there then, he's here now. That big loudmouth, conservative loudmouth, Al Franken was one of my favorite people. Satirist,
very entertaining,
comedian.
Very bright man.
He calls Rush Limbaugh a big fat idiot. That was the name of his book, wasn't it?
Yep. Rush. Well, he has titles that are kind of jokes. Another title of his is "Lying Liars" and the lies that they tell, or something like that.
So Limbaugh, I mean, he has a big audience. He has a big following.
Yes.
And tell me the roots of this scandal, and it is a scandal.
Well, the key thing is that the administration has made a decision, contrary to or despite protests by the Roman Catholic Church, that it would require insurance policies under the new health care plan to cover contraception. So the Catholic Church wanted to have an exception for religious organizations or moral objectors to contraception. And the administration adopted a kind of a compromise position, but it wasn't satisfactory to the Catholics. Some of the Republicans held a hearing attacking the administration for this imposition upon religious groups, and this law student kind of testified at a rump Democratic hearing.
Yes, because the panel was all men, as I recall.
Yes,
testifying.
She tried to testify. Of course, it's kind of odd. I mean, people don't get to nominate themselves to testify at congressional hearings, but it was strange that no women did testify.
We're commenting on this particular issue.
Right. So he then, she testified about the importance of contraception, and Rush Limbaugh attacked her very viciously.
Very.
And
called her a
called
slut.
her a prostitute and a slut, and actually he went on in that vein for a long time. It wasn't that these words slipped out. It was a long tirade against her in that same vein.
Sure, this young woman, well-spoken, Georgetown student, 30-year-old law student,
right.
credible,
right.
articulate.
Yeah, so there has been a tremendous backlash against him. He's lost a big part of his advertisers,
and he'll get that.
Yeah.
He may not get other things, but he'll get that.
Yeah, and he's been forced to apologize. I think that's as far as it goes. This actually is over the line compared with where he usually is, but not that far.
Right.
He's at the edge of decency, kind of constantly.
Sure.
Right.
And do you see any move in the United States to eliminate some of the right-wing conservative commentators?
Well, there's no way to eliminate that. It's actually a kind of a distressing feature of U.S. politics that there is some fraction of the public, maybe 20%, that likes to be entertained that way.
Sure. Of course they do, and ask Howard Stern.
Yeah.
Or Imus or any of them, and they are entertaining. There's no question. Sometimes they make great points.
Right.
We need both. It's a free country. You need both sides of the story, here, there, everywhere.
I don't think the country is helped by that. Actually, it makes for a coarser and less intelligent national discussion. But there isn't any way to stop it. People can watch what they.
It's called freedom of speech,
exactly.
I guess.
Exactly.
But they don't have a CRTC in the United States, do they?
Well, there's a.
They have an FCC.
The FCC is the Federal Communications Commission.
Right.
They're the ones who have penalized, I think it was CBS, for Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction.
Yes.
So they can.
That's right.
So there are some limits.
There are some limits, and we don't know what will come next. Over to the general election, the issues. Who can win and how?
Well, the Republicans are very concerned about the effect that this nomination contest is having on their chances. And I think they are right to have that concern. The most obvious thing is that the attacks by each of the candidates on each other are raising the negative perceptions of both of them. there's an aspect of this which hasn't been discussed very much, which is an even more serious problem, which is that Romney is already criticized within the Republican Party as being a flip-flopper and not being consistent and not really believing what he says. Well, in the general election, he's going to have to flip again, because he's been campaigning, as all the Republicans must, on a very conservative platform, taking many, many positions that would be very hard sells in the national election. And so he already has this reputation, and then in the general election, he's going to have to switch his positions again.
Okay, so, and those issues would be choice on abortion,
taxes,
or
taxes
war,
for the wealthy, abortion, gay rights. But the one that's most clearly, his positions are more severe than are popular in the United States on those issues, but also taxes on the wealthy. Republicans are all campaigning essentially to hold even the very wealthiest harmless with respect to taxes, despite the enormous budget deficits and the need to reduce deficits.
And the economy's still not up and running.
No, but that's the one hope for Republicans, and it is significant. The economy has been improving for 6 or 7 months, steady gains, but very small gains. Increases in employment are staying just ahead of the number of people who are coming into the labor market, and it's hardly any real improvement.
Well, and a blue-collar worker or somebody from Rust Belt state is trying to say, what are you going to do for me?
Right. And then there are issues of if the situation in Europe with the Greek crisis, or the situation in the Middle East would cause a disruption of oil supplies, and either of those things had really big harmful effects on the U.S. economy, things could look very different.
Well, certainly Israel is threatening to go into Iran, and Iran said today, early news, that the nuke inspectors could now go in, and they have said this before, I know. But could it be a big issue, war, no war? Because if Israel goes in, obviously the United States is in.
Yes. Well, if Israel goes to war, there will be some disputes as to exactly how much support and what kind the United States should give. The United States certainly would have to give considerable support. And that has big and kind of dynamic effects on public opinion. In the short run, it helps the president. Any international conflict considerably increases the popularity of the president for a while. But if it's difficult, especially if U.S. troops are there, which they wouldn't be, but if the economy goes south, after some months, it could go the other way for the
And yet President Obama brought the U.S. out of Afghanistan, killed Osama bin Laden.
Right. No, he's looking fairly good in terms of foreign policy and military issues. If things hold up as reasonably well, if Iraq falls apart or Afghanistan falls apart because they aren't really secured, that could be another matter.
Another matter.
Yeah.
Sarah Palin suggested to someone the other day she may just hop back in. Is it possible?
Well, it's legal.
Yeah, I know that.
She would what she would have to hope for would be a deadlocked convention. That is, neither Mitt Romney nor anyone else having a majority on the first ballot of the majority of the delegates, and then the delegates can vote for who they want.
Any candidate or possible candidate in the wings, do you think, like a Jeb Bush or somebody like him that is just waiting?
There doesn't seem to be there doesn't seem to be anybody who is willing to do it. Jeb Bush is a plausible person. Otherwise, Governor Christie from New Jersey is a plausible person. Otherwise, Mitch Daniels from Indiana. But all of them have had plenty of chances and said no.
Sure, and Barbara Bush would have to flip around because she's endorsing Romney.
That's right.
Right?
She said that she's finds this campaign the worst that she's ever seen.
What about what they say on the trail, gaffes? How impactful are those?
Those can be important, yes. And I think that's one of the, if you think about why would Santorum, in particular, think he still has a chance, there's a campaign that still has to happen. And Romney has made some serious mistakes as it goes, and if he makes more.
Sure. Well, somebody called President Obama a snob for promoting college education.
This is Santorum.
Okay.
So Santorum, some argue that after he did very well in Missouri and Minnesota, Santorum had a real chance, and he blew it by campaigning on college, Kennedy, and contraception. Kennedy was a very strong attack on a speech that John F. Kennedy made about religion during his presidential campaign. So he had a chance to go for the working class conservative voter that he has a lot of resonance with, but he ended up on social issues.
More to the story. I thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much. This was fun.
Paul Quirk, he is the fill-in chair in U.S. politics and representation at UBC.